Welcome back, and tonight I'm going to make blueberry muffin cake. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to butter and flour my tray. So I'm going to be using a 9x13 tray, and I have some plastic wrap and some butter. I'm going to butter this all up. Make sure I get it everywhere. So I like to go ahead, instead of making muffins, I like to make it into a cake pan, and then that way I can cut whatever size I want. So maybe I want a piece that's smaller than a muffin, maybe I want a piece that's larger than a muffin, and also it's a huge time saver. Okay, so I have my butter. I need to rinse my hands. Sprinkle a little bit of flour. I'm going to go over the sink with this. Make sure I get the flour everywhere so it does not stick. And I go to cut the pieces out. Okay, let's adjust the camera. No one can see what I'm doing. I just realized. I'm going to make this go up. Okay. There we go. Sometimes when you're your own camera person, you have challenges. Okay, so I have a silicone brush, and I found that if I just lightly take the silicone brush and brush all the flour to all the places that the butter did not get to, that works very well. Okay, and then also if you have a little bit of excess flour, just brush it off. So that's done. And what I did is I happened to get some blueberries a little while back, and I didn't have time to do anything with the blueberries, but I washed them up and I measured them to 2 cups. So in order to make this recipe, you need 2 cups of blueberries. So I already have the 2 cups of blueberries already measured, washed, and everything. And I froze them for, let's see, what, did I date it? Nope, I did not date it. That was not good, but not very long ago, probably maybe a month ago. So the first step in making this is you'd wash up your blueberries, take the stems off. If you wanted to measure them to 2 cups and then freeze them, that's fine. But then the next step would be you take a couple tablespoons of flour in a bowl, and this is already in a good container, and you put 2 tablespoons of flour with the blueberries. This is for later, and then I'm just going to set it aside so it's done since I'm already dealing with the flour already. I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to stir it up so that there's the flour's on the blueberries, and this makes it mix in better to the batter. So I'm going to do this, I'll set it aside, and then we'll get to measuring everything else. Measure everything out first, and then I'm going to go over to the mixer. So I need a 1.5 cups of butter. So on your butter sticks, you'll notice that 1 stick of butter is a 1/2 cup. So a 1/2 cup plus another 1/2 cup, that's 1 cup, and then another half is a 1.5 cups. So I have my 1.5 cups of butter. I'm going to put that in here. Okay. Hope everybody's having a good day. I was going to do this earlier in the day, and then some stuff came up and I couldn't, so now it's already the evening, so this will be tonight's dessert. Okay, so there's the butter, and then I need, drying my hands off, 2 cups of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera angle a little bit. Here we go. And I'm going to do 2 cups of sugar in here. And I like to use the end of a knife to go ahead and level off the sugar. So measuring sugar, you want to level it off. So here's like this, and then I'm going to go 1, 2 of my sugar, and then I'm going to set this aside for a sec, and I'm going to measure my milk. So I have a 2-cup measure here, and I need 1.5 cups of milk. So the best thing to do when measuring milk, or any type of liquid, is to get down level to it. So I need 1.5 cups. And I always like to double check. Okay, so I'm going to get down here and I'm going to pour the milk till I have a level 1.5 cups. Okay, then I'm going to set this aside. Then I'm going to go get a bowl for my eggs. Okay, then 2 eggs. 1, 2, and then I will wash my hands. And then I'm going to just scramble the eggs up a little, mix them up. Then I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to start measuring my flour. Okay, so now my next ingredients are going to be 3.5 cups of flour. So I need to go ahead and take my flour and I will level it off. And I'm going to count out loud. You don't want to mess up when you're counting more than a couple cups. You really want to make sure that you do it right. So 1, 2, 3, and I need 3.5. So I have my 1/2 cup measure. I got 3 and 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to set this flour aside. And then the next thing I'm going to measure is baking powder. And I need 5 teaspoons of baking powder. So I got to make sure I got my teaspoon. And I'm going to count out loud. I'm going to level this off, and I always use the top of the lid to level it off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So make sure that you use baking powder and not baking soda, because it will make a difference. So baking powder. And then I need a teaspoon of salt, but I don't really like to use, that seems like a lot to me, so I'm going to probably use a little less than that. In the meantime, I have preheated my oven to 400. So I'm going to get really close to a whole teaspoon. And then I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a fork, and I'm just going to stir this up. And I'm going to go over my list of ingredients to make sure I have everything, and then we will go over to the mixer. So here are my ingredients. I have my 2 cups of blueberries with the flour, so we did that. And then I have my 1.5 cups of butter. I have 2 cups of sugar. I have 1.5 cups of milk. I have 2 eggs. I have 3.5 cups of flour, 5 teaspoons of baking powder, almost a teaspoon of salt, and I'm ready to go to the mixer, and we'll start mixing up the ingredients. Okay, before I start mixing, I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I'm going to reduce it to 375. If you were going to make muffins, you would probably want to bake it at 400. But what I do is I preheat the oven to 400 and then I reduce it to 375 to make the blueberry muffin cake. So I'm going to do that right now. Use a regular mixing. I wouldn't use a dough hook. This is just like for cakes or whatever. And you wouldn't want to use a whisk either. So just your one that you would use for cakes. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my other ingredients lined up, ready here. So I moved everything ready and close to me so I don't have to keep on going across the kitchen. Okay, so I'm going to start mixing this up. Okay, let's take a peek at it, make sure nothing's sticking. So I'm creaming my butter and sugar together. It looks pretty good. Nothing's sticking, but I think I'm going to mix it just for a hair longer. Okay, now I'm going to add my milk. And I'm going to mix that up, and then probably while the mixer's still going, I will add my eggs in just a few minutes. I'm adding my eggs. You don't want to have it go too fast or everything will go flying out of there. So now I'm going to start adding my flour slowly. Okay, so partway through this process, you're going to want to scrape the sides. If you don't have a rubber spatula and you're going to do a lot of baking, it might be something you want to invest in. It really helps. Okay, so I'm scraping the sides, and it's already looking very, I'm going to show you, it's starting to look very creamy already, which is what you want it to look like. Try to get all the batter off of here. And then I will continue to mix it. We're very close. Okay, let's check it out. I think it is ready. Okay, so it's ready to add the blueberries. Now, you don't want to use the mixer when adding the blueberries, or the blueberries will get all mushed up and you won't, it'll just be purple basically. So we want the blueberries to be whole. That was one of the reasons why we added the flour, because it actually helps. So I'm just going to make sure there's nothing sticking here, and I'm going to gently stir the blueberries in, as gentle as possible. It's kind of tricky because you want to stir them in. You want every bite to have a blueberry or more than, more than one blueberry in it. But you don't want to over stir it either because then you're going to smash them. So you don't want to smash them. So this is called folding the blueberries in. So try to, like I said, mix it up as best as possible without crushing the blueberries. Trying to get some more elbow room here. Yes, my hands are very clean. Okay, the batter into the casserole dish. It scrapes out of here pretty good. It will be a thick, very thick. So if it comes out thick, it's the right consistency. Okay. This time I got a knife here. All the excess off of the spatula. And then I'm going to take this same knife and I'm going to spread this. And I find that metal works well when you're trying to spread out batter. Just years of trying different things. The metal seems to work the best. I don't know why, but it does. So then you just try to be as even as possible so you don't have like one part of your cake higher than the other part. And you can do the same recipe, like I said before, in muffin tins, but I prefer blueberry muffin cake. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so for the topping, I have raw sugar. I'm just going to take some out and put it in a bowl. Because I tend to, if I use the sprinkle top, I tend to get too much in one area. If you're really good with the sprinkle top, you can do that, but this is how I like to do it. Let's see. So I just have some brown sugar in a bowl, and then I'm just going to sprinkle the cake with the raw sugar. It is brown in color, but it's raw sugar, raw cane sugar. And this, to me, is my favorite part, is the topping. And if you want, you could not put any sugar on top, and that's fine too. I just prefer it this way. Okay, so because I made a cake and I didn't make muffins, muffins is usually about 30 minutes, but because I made a cake, it's going to probably take me about 45. So I'm going to set a timer for about halfway and check on it, because it seems like you never know, depending on the humidity in your house and everything, how your oven's going to go. So I always like to check it on the halfway point. Okay, let's check it. It's at the halfway mark. Let's see how it's doing. Oops, there we go. Looks like it's doing well. I think I'm going to move it to the top rack so the bottom does not get burnt or anything or overdone. And we'll check back in another about 22 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to take a toothpick, put it in here. Came out clean, and I can't wait to try my blueberry muffin cake. I'm going to go have a light dinner, make sure I have plenty of room, and then I would taste test it. Okay, now it is time to test taste. I can't wait to try some of this. So like I said, the beauty of going ahead and having it in a cake pan is you can do whatever size you want. This is the size I want today, as I got a corner piece, which I really like. Came out very good. Like it a lot. It's still warm. If you're lucky enough to be able to cut it when it's still warm and have a piece when it's still warm, that is the best way to have it. Or you can possibly even heat it up in your microwave for like 20 seconds or 30 seconds just to warm it back up, because personally I like it warm. It's very delicious. It's a pretty simple recipe, I think, to make. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for those of you who subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you don't subscribe and you enjoy the content, please subscribe. It is free. Thank you for watching, and please like the video. Have a great day.